When I'm driving, it can be so frustrating because if the light's nice, then it becomes a nuisance. It becomes a hassle. And if the sun comes out and it's horrible, then it's a relief. And you can just drive along and enjoy the warmth and enjoy the sun. This is Wilton Bush. I've kind of only just rediscovered it in recent times. But I can't believe how beautiful it is. Ever since I was a child, everywhere I look, I'm seeing shapes and designs. My father at the time said, stop walking into lampposts and concentrate. Trying to find those gaps between people and pressing the button when the gaps are all balancing. If this girl had crossed with this boy, or if this man had just been over a little bit, it wouldn't work. I like to try and match the way trees work with the way people in the street work. People are moving, so it's all about grabbing a moment. Trees don't move, so it's about positioning yourself. Both places are wonderful. If it's raining, when I get up in the morning, I'm packing up my gear while most people are sleeping in. Grey, rainy days are by far the best. Around here is another scene I really enjoy. I love the way the punga's gone black with all the rain. I love the green behind it. The tone of grey is lovely. If you work on a certain weather, like grey, wet days, you then have to concentrate on the figures more and more. And so shadows become less important. Just before or just after the rain, when it's shadowless and everything is black and white, absolutely stark, it's the time. The bush is just beautiful. But during the rain, it's lovely too. The rain itself adds a sort of little sparkly highlights to everything. If you look in closely, you can see the drips of water there. It was teeming down with rain the moment I took that photo. This is one of my favourite spots here because these two old stumps of the trees here I've photographed this many times, and as the seasons go through, it's always slightly different. Another favourite spot is around here, probably about half an hour late. If the dominant light was further over, I get better backlight. But it goes for miles in every direction. There's so many other places to discover. Macra is a beautiful place too, the Macra Hills. I once described it as the most beautiful place in the world. I'd really got in tune with the place. And I used to end up watching this wonderful cycle of light. For 3 days it may rain, and then on the 4th day a mist will come down. And if the mist hangs around till about 3 in the afternoon, you know that the sun will be making the trees backlit through the mist, and it just becomes absolutely beautiful and stark. So heading down into the gully. It's very peaceful working in here. This is almost like my own space. Hardly anybody comes in here. "5 minutes from home, 10 minutes maybe, and 1 minute away from the van. And I've got this. I call photography making sense of the mess. And I love a tangle of bramble and things growing all over the place. There's such an explosion of shapes there. It's really lovely, like a spider's web. I can focus on this trunk here or on the fine branches in the foreground and get the wonderful stark shapes of the pungas in the background. You get the ferns crossing with each other, like in this case here, where they cross with each other, and you get such complex patterns. It's like nature's painted it for me, designed it for me. I've got these regimented shapes of the ferns, my Lowry shapes, as I call them. Lowry painted stick figures, matchstick figures. Beautiful, beautiful designs where the spaces between things are just perfect. Everything about his paintings is so photographic. A famous photographer said, "Put the camera to your eye and walk amongst people." It's no different to actually finding those trees without shadows and finding people on Lambton Quay making similar shapes. So I can leave home right now, just out of the window here, and walk up Cuba Street and walk through a tangle of opportunities. It's all waiting and watching. In any given space of time, everything balances. I can remember when I was about 14, slamming my eyes shut and trying to remember images. I hardly ever get to know people when I photograph them, other than a smile or, thank you. It is easier to do it as an old man. They kind of write you off as slightly nutty. They're Lowry type characters. Every kind of shape, they form a landscape. But the streets are always interesting, whether there's people there or not. I saw this little girl leaning into this person like that, and I managed to move forward, watching her with my peripheral vision, so she wasn't aware of me. Here's another one where nobody is aware of me, and yet I'm right in amongst them. Photography is like fishing. It's a form of hunting. You hunt for the possibilities. You have to be able to predict ahead of time what might happen, how the traffic, how the background will be. And you can actually stand behind the seats where people are waiting for buses. So you've got three-dimensional. You've got people walking past in both directions. You've got people on the seats. You've often got children mucking around. And then you've got buses stopping and people coming and going. And then you've got buildings in the background. I remember getting this interesting photo of a mother holding a child child was tugging on her arm, and yet people were walking like stick figures on either side of her. And it just, boom, it's got it. It's there, it's like magic. Tunnel of light comes down and bounces off the windows on the Lambton Quay on the corner there and forms these almost biblical images of people. I used to call it gifts from the gods. And straight away, you get on a high. The photographer's dance of fleeting moments here and there. The ballet of photography. I bought a 35mm lens in 1970. And I still use that lens now exclusively. It's uncoated, so it has a lovely grittiness about it. Somebody needs to do it for now, for the future. It's like a duty that we've got. Painters, photographers, whatever, even poets, of recording the world as it is for the future, for learning. The idea of privacy and invasion and all of that just goes out the window. There seems to be a lot less people doing street photography now. Say back in the 70s, we all got to know each other, and there would have been 5 or 6 hardcore workers. But now you hardly see anybody doing it. And the most interesting people are children. They're sweet, they run around, they smile, they laugh. You can't ignore 1/3 of the population. And where I can, I'll try to make eye contact with the parents. And sometimes all it is a little nose up, which is like, it's okay. But I still do it anyway. And if people are interested, you can show them the picture. If they're really concerned, you can delete it. So what? You get people that get nostalgic, they recognize themselves as young people, and they're really happy that the pictures are there and happy to see them. It was the Extinction Rebellion, where children were being told that the world is coming to an end. And I wandered amongst the crowd, and I was able to get, in this case, within about maybe 3 feet of people, and yet nobody is aware of me. Why are we studying for our future when we don't have a future? I think it's a bit of a hard thing to put onto kids, that. It goes way back to my uncle, who was a air crew in the Second World War. He would photograph the air crew, and the photographs were absolutely beautiful. I remember just as a kid asking him, how do you get photographs like that? And he said, it's all about waiting, waiting and waiting. And a lady next door, her husband died. I remember passing her window when walking past the house. Very lonely, obviously, sat at a table. So I built up the courage to go to her house with my uncle's Rolleiflex. He'd given it to me, and it's still one of my favourite images. Went to New Plymouth in 1970. Photographically, it was just wonderful and open, and I could go anywhere I wanted. I'd drive past a marae and see a pile of cars. You just wander around, make friends with people. It was such a wonderful, open society. My wife, Diana, was a bit of a hippie travelling through India back in the 80s. And so we went over there. We've been over several times. And it's just beautiful. The light there is soft. It's sandstorms in the stratosphere, I've been told, from the Gobi Desert. In the cities, it's pollution as well. The light over there is just beautiful. The people are so open. And if you do photograph a family with children, they come and thank you. And the same thing with China, really. It's just a different place. China's more austere, but it's still beautiful. I've never really experimented with colour. Maybe I should, I don't know. There's lots of fine photographers have made the switch, and a lot have made the switch back as well. But it's an effect that is entrenched into our brains as a communication from probably 100 years of nothing but black and white photography. Whether it's done by drawing, charcoal, screen prints, painting, water, it's what the image does to the viewer. If it inspires you and you could live with it on the wall, and the intention of the photographer is to do just that, and that comes through in the picture, then it's no different to an oil painting. Important not to touch the camera while it's doing its 2-second countdown before the shutter goes.
Okay, and okay, let's go.
So it's a very enjoyable thing to do, be a drifting photographer. Yeah. The problem is I don't think the royal family understand me, because me and Harry wanted to escape to America, but the media has just been chopped to the wrong subject, sorry.